Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Omega Insight. I wanted to do a quick apology that I missed Friday's coffee talk. That's because our daughter got married yesterday. And so we were in wedding mode last week, and Friday came and went. It's a blur. I don't even know where it went to. So I do apologize for that. I will be on this Friday. But anyway, tonight's topic is meditation. I know I've talked to you about meditation and the idea of how meditating, having a meditation practice is very healthy for us. There's so many benefits for meditating as well. You could research this on the internet. I don't need to go over that. The idea of reducing stress and helping us stay centered and calm and peaceful, yada, yada, yada. I just wanted today to take a moment and talk about some of the things and the experiences that I've had that I found to be helpful throughout the years. I've been meditating almost all my life, I'm going to say. And I found it's very something I love and desire and miss when I don't do it. And I actually could recognize if I miss meditating, let's say for a week, like last week was, I feel the stress and off centered. And to me, meditation helps us stay centered and calm and more aware. I had a nice in-depth conversation. Mark and I had an in-depth conversation with my son the other night, and we were talking about stress and anxiety and whatnot. And I said to him how meditating is something that I do. And we were talking about the idea of when something happens, how you look for gratitude instead. And I was having this experience, and all of a sudden I stopped and went, wait a second, well, let's be grateful about this. And he said, wow, that's great. I'd love to be able to stop mid thought and switch it over. And I told him meditating is one of the reasons why I feel like that I can do that because it helps me remember about the breaths and it helps me remember to stop and think and to center myself. So tonight I wanted to just go through a couple of things that I found beneficial throughout the years. Um, when I first started meditating, I didn't get taught specifically a way to meditate, and then of course I've gone to different types of meditating um, places and practices. Visualization is very beneficial to you. There's so many different types of meditation. The two that I fluctuate between are the mantras, where you have an actual phrase or words that you repeat, and then a visualization. Of course, in Omega, we use the color meditation visualization, which, by the way, next Monday, I am actually going to take us through a meditation just so you'll have something to play again and review in case you don't have our meditation on CD. Um, so, the first thing that I learned is there is no right way. I know that there's a list of people who say, here's what you got to do, this and that. No, throw that. All the things that you need to do is remember there's no right way. There's a way that works for you. Sometimes I meditate while I'm sitting in my meditation chair. Sometimes I meditate while I'm walking. Sometimes I'll meditate when I'll go and sit and lay down, and I'll do a quick little meditation while I'm laying down. Really, whatever place or position works for you. There's no right way. It's whatever works for you. Now, George instructed meditation, and one of the things that he taught, and I think we got this from Torcum, one of the things that he taught is that we sit on the edge of your chair so the back stays straight. Now, I did this naturally because I'm short. So in order for me to get my feet on the floor, which is one recommendation, is your feet should be flat on the floor to help stay grounded, I have to sit at the end of the chair, which naturally makes my back nice and straight. The idea is to keep your back straight so that the energy flows through you. People like to say it aligns your chakras if that's something that you believe in. And then, of course, keeping your feet flat on the floor is very beneficial because that's considered a grounding technique when your feet are on the floor, and that yeah, it helps us stay centered and grounded. I guess the best word to say is just that you're grounded, meaning that you're not going to fly off the handle. That's one thing. And then, of course, eliminate distractions. Naturally, this is the number one thing. when we're first starting learning how to meditate is to eliminate distractions. So for me, the big thing was I had to let other people know I was meditating in the house. In Of course, you've seen my meditation room, but before I had a meditation room, if I was just going to use my bedroom or even in the office, I hung a sign. This is a sign that I had. I don't know if it's going to come backwards or not, but please do not disturb. And there's a picture of somebody meditating. I would just hang the sign on the door. Now, in the office, I took a little bit of flack for this. People are like, "What are you doing, taking a nap in there?" But of course, once I started introducing meditation to the workplace, then it was a little bit more acceptable and I didn't get razzed as much. But at home, I have that. I have this hanging on my door. Every time I go into my room, I'll hang that on the door and everyone knows, don't disturb me because they know I'm going to be in there meditating. That's one request. And I don't make it, don't disturb me. It's more of a, hey, guys, I'm going to meditate. Just, I need about 15 minutes. That's really all it takes. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is turn this device off. I mean, mute it, turn it off so that it does not ring. Because what's going to happen is you're going to hear a little notification or a ding, and you're going to look. And then the next thing you know, you're going to be on it responding. Oh, let me just respond and forget it. You're gone. So this thing needs to be turned off. If you could actually do meditation without even bringing that in a place with you, do it. But if you need your, like say you're using your phone for your meditation, if you want to play music and whatnot, make sure it's turned off, turned upside down, no notifications, and you can just hear the music. I would actually recommend if you're going to use music, use your iPad, a tablet, or the computer. And this way, again, make sure your notifications are turned off, and this way there's no distraction. The hard thing about that is, of course, emails pop up, and social media blings come on there. So it really would be important if you can do that. iPhone actually has a silence notification where you could say, the phone will be off at this time, and you could turn everything off so that you're able to use it without having any distractions. It's really important to not have distractions, especially when you're first learning how to meditate. Um, the other thing that I really think about when it comes to eliminating distractions is make sure that you are in your head, you're done. Like, make sure that you've responded to the email and you're not thinking, I got to get that back in there. Make sure that you're in a good space to go and meditate. It's really non-productive if you're feeling stressed and go try to sit down, you're not going to be able to meditate on that. So it's important that your head is clear, um, and don't judge yourself if some thought comes through. That's fine, just let it pass and bring yourself back to your attention on that one. I also highly recommend, I've learned this throughout the years, is breathing techniques. Breathing helps us meditate. It brings us into a calmer, quieter state. Again, there's many different types of breathing techniques that work for many different people. So I suggest go and research, find ones that work for you. The one that works for me personally well is when I take a deep breath in on a count of five. I hold it for a count of five. Then I exhale for a count of five, and then I hold that for a count of five. So it's a four-step breath. So it's inhale, hold, exhale, hold, all for the same counts. Now you can increase these counts to 10, 15, 20 seconds if you want. It's really up to you. Don't hurt yourself, obviously. We just want to be conscious of breathing in, breathing out. I feel comfortable with five. Sometimes I go to 10, but five is usually where I resonate to. And I do a nice slow count: one, two, three, four, five. That's my count of five. So that might be longer for you if you count to five. Again, I would say just look and see the different types of meditation. I know they have one where you hold the nostril and you inhale on one and then exhale out through the mouth and then hold the other nostril. You could do that. Then there's another one where you do the deep breathing and you bring your arms out and collapse them in. Whatever works for you, honestly. I think it's important. For me, it was important to start with the breath because it brings me into the present moment. Breathing is part of my physical body. I'm in the present moment, so my physical body now brings me into the present moment. Also, another thing that's been very helpful and beneficial is to start slow. If you're not used to meditating, I would not suggest doing a gong meditation for 40 minutes. That's way too long for somebody who's never meditated. And even guided meditations, they might be too much for you. Start slow, go 5 minutes. Find somewhere on the internet a 5 minute meditation, or just listen to calming music for 5 minutes. Deep breathe for 5 minutes. I mean, really, just start slow and then you can build yourself up. As I said, I vacillate between mantras and a guided visualization. Now, the guided visualization that I do, I have been doing this for almost 30 years. And in my meditation, I've built on many different stages. But in Omega, and what we'll do next weekend, excuse me, next Monday, is I will go through the colors and then we go to a nature scene. And so I've had questions in the past. What if you can't visualize? That's not a problem at all. If you can't visualize, hold a picture in your hand. And when you get to the nature scene, just open your eyes and look at the picture. And that's what you want to look for. And then close your eyes and then open your eyes again and hold on to that picture and just visualize yourself in the nature scene. Most of the time, when we instruct people to go to a nature scene, I always instruct us to go to a place you're familiar with, someplace that you've actually physically been, because it's a lot easier to recall a memory than it is to just create something out of thin blue air. And some guided visualizations do that. They'll say, okay, on the left, there'll be a babbling brook. On the right, you'll have a bench to sit in, you know. And if you're good at visualization, do that. But if you're not, grab a picture, something or a memory of some place that you've already been to. Remember, no right or wrong way. Of course, I know I probably don't need to say this, but it's important that you do this in a very quiet, calm place. Close the door to the office. If you're going into your bedroom, close the door. I had a client one time, she would go into her walk in closet. That was her meditation space. She'd put a note on the door, Mommy's meditating, close the door, and everyone left her alone. She actually enjoyed it. She said she felt comfortable around her shoes. It was very cute. And anyway, again, whatever works for you, it's important to be in a quiet place. Now, when it comes to music, the same thing. Whatever works for you. I had a sound machine. I have a sound machine. And in one of my clients, I brought in my machine and left it in the Zen Den and had them choose whatever music. So their instructions were they had to meditate at least twice during the week. I was working with some executives, and they had to meditate twice during the week, and they had to close the door and choose whatever sound machine. There was like 15 or 20 different sounds on there. And when I went back in to report with them, I was amazed at the different types that people responded to. There was one woman who loved the sound of the foghorn because she grew up in Seattle and always heard the sound of the lighthouse on the foghorn. Another person loved the traffic sounds. They appreciate because it was something very familiar to them. They grew up in the city, so it was very familiar. Someone else did not like the out in the fields because of the crickets at night. There was too much crickets, or the rain, the pitter patter. So whatever sound works for you, that's what I would really encourage. When it comes to music, the only thing I would suggest is make sure you don't take something that has sound like words, popular songs. You want to make sure that these are just instrumental pieces because you're going to find yourself singing to the songs and before you know it, you'll be out of your meditation. Now, on a side note, I am all for singing out loud to music. I think it's wonderful. It's very helpful. It's very energizing. It makes you happy. So to me, sing to your heart's content. But when you're meditating, it's very beneficial to have an instrumental and you can stay centered and not go off and think about all the meditation. Excuse me, one moment. All right. With that said, then another thing when it comes to the color meditation. So next week, when I introduce the color meditation or when we do a color meditation, it's really just the colors of the rainbow. And the ones that we introduce, it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and violet. And many years ago, I had a client who was struggling with the colors. She couldn't visualize. She was a very textile person. Perfect. I said, just go get colors or cloths or objects and make it be that color, like red. She used corduroy. And Yellow. She went with I don't remember exactly thing, but I was just thinking about like that. I have this yellow taxi, so she might just hold a taxi in her hand. So you can just use objects that you hold in your hand. As a matter of fact, I did that with purple. So here's a violet. Excuse me. I have this heart, so you can just hold the heart. So right here, I have two objects, and if I have it in my mind, this is yellow. This is what yellow feels like, and this is what violet feels like. That works. It's all right if you don't see the color. I know in our guided visualizations we use the idea of a cloud, um, a, a red cloud coming descending from above. A red cloud is coming down. If you can't see red, think of an item. Many years ago, we actually used the colors as objects, and we would say, think of an apple or an orange, a lemon for yellow, a green pepper for green, but it was hard to do food until we kind of figured it out. So the blue was blueberries, the purple was purple cabbage or an eggplant, and then violet was a purple cabbage or the red onion. It kind of gives off a violet hue. Anything works, doesn't matter. But if that's something that works better for you, again, if you can recall a memory, that's more beneficial for you. So we all know what a red apple looks like. Piece of cake, I've got that. We switched over to the cloud because we found out people ended up getting pretty hungry. I know that sounds cheesy, but yeah, when you think about an apple and you like apples, you're going to start thinking and salivating. And we had the discussion, and George actually liked the idea of the clouds. I like the idea of the clouds too, coming from above. Because truly, in the meditation, you're supposed to be ascending up through the colors and then descending down through the colors. And when we were using items, we were keeping them all on the physical level. And um, in our discussion, we decided that because we're transcending through your physicals on the bottom and we want to be able to go through all colors. So that's why we decided and switched it to clouds instead of the colors. But I mean, the objects, but if those objects work for you, use the objects. Again, these are my suggestions from my 30, 40 years of meditating, 30 years of meditating, and what I found works for me. Now, if these don't work for you, that's okay. I'll say it again. Find what works for you. Recently, over the last few years, Oprah and Deepak have released meditations on different topics. I know there's one on stress or finding happiness and joy, building relationships. There's a variety of them. Every once in a while, they'll do like a free 21 visualization meditation, but they have an app that you can join on, and those are actually quite nice. Oprah does a little introduction to the meditation and the message for the day, and then Deepak will introduce the mantra, and it's a Sanskrit word, and he'll tell you what it means. And honestly, all you do is just repeat that word over and over and over and over again. And for those of you who remember George, he would do the ohms. We would practice with the ohms and just meditate on the word om. You just continue to repeat the word om, om. And of course, you would do this with your eyes closed, and you didn't have to say it out loud. You would just do it in your mind and just meditate that way as well. So there really are no right or wrong ways. These are just guidelines to help us meditate. There's a funny story George used to tell about one of his teachers taught him how to meditate in a very noisy kitchen. And he did. He had to sit there for hours, and of course I would not be able to do that. It's too easily distracted. And my distractions are more the social media binging or the emails coming in or a phone call that's going off or the thoughts that are in my head. Oh, did I remember to do this? And oh, I've got to remember to do that. That list that always seems to be building. And it's beneficial to quiet our mind, of course. You know that. Now, with all of that said, I hope that you will join us next Monday, which is going to be Monday on the 22nd. Oh, that's a nice number. Monday, the 22nd, March 22nd. And I will guide us through the guided visualization, the meditation that we do in the Omega 1, the very basic meditation. Now, of course, Omega 2, we have a different meditation, and Omega 4, we have a very different meditation as well. But this is just the very basic basic individual meditation that we do. And the concept is to go through the seven colors, and the seven colors represent the seven different levels of a human being. And just quickly, we say that red represents the lowest part of us, which is our physical body. Orange represents and connects to the emotions, which is the next level up from our physical. We then become emotional. Yellow is connected to the mental aspect of us, not psychotic, but my thoughts, my thinking. Green is always called, it's often called the bridge because it connects us from the lower self to the higher self. And by that I mean physical, emotional, and mental are the lower aspects of us. The higher aspects are all connected towards the spiritual side. Believe it or not, there's many levels on the spiritual side. We just connected it to the seven levels of the color. So there's seven levels of the human being, which is pretty consistent. If you read this throughout, Google search it, you'll find. So green is often called the bridge. Then we have blue, which is connected to um, love, monad, excuse me, love, agape. Then purple is connected to monad, which is oneness of all things. And finally, violet is the divine, our divinity, which is the highest level of us and the closest to the divine nature of God that we have. I'm sorry that my voice is going out. I'm certain it was from being outside all weekend with all of the wedding festivities. So before I clear my throat one more time and annoy everyone, thank you for joining me this evening. I look forward to seeing you next Monday for our collection of we can do a group meditation together. Have a wonderful week this week. Until then, bye now.